Welcome, KLEAN listeners, to KFWB News Talk 980, our flagship station, or Extreme Talk channel 165 on XM, or at the World Wide Web at KLEANradio.com. Welcome to everybody out there listening to us on our live stream. Back in the studio tonight is my compadre in arms, and the great Andrew Spanswick.
Got to thank our sponsor.
Yeah, Treatment Line. Let's thank our sponsor, Treatment Line. And it's actually a really awesome thing. Something you and I talk about a lot. How do you find the rehab? And Treatment Line is actually a really cool place. You could go there. You could ask them a lot of questions.
Treatmentline.com.
Treatmentline.com, and they will refer you in the right place. Welcome back from England, Scotland.
Both.
Yeah.
Just say UK or Britain.
And a lot of airports.
A lot of airports.
And trains.
I was actually, I flew into Edinburgh, but I went to London like 3 times during the 10 days. Wow. So, yeah, day trips, which was just like get up at 4:30 in the morning and get there back at midnight. I was exhausted. But extremely interesting trip. I mean, once again, got a lot going on over there. It's really exciting.
Yeah, you know, it's. I think it's really cool because, you know, so much of what we talk about in life and on the show is about alcoholism, and you go to a country where it's treated totally different.
Yeah, they don't even view drugs and alcohol as the same problem. They have a whole ministry for the prevention treatment of alcohol, and then they have a whole ministry for the treatment and prevention of drug addiction. So they don't even think that it's the same problem. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. They're all public health model people, and that's what America is trying to move towards, and they're now trying to move away from that to abstinence-based programming.
Go figure.
And, so everybody's in reverse, and nobody's talking to each other.
And let's also welcome, obviously, in tonight in the studio is the co-hostesses with the mostesses, Jennifer Easy on the Eyes Gimenez.
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome to KLEAN, as always.
Thanks for having me here. I love doing the show. I'm so glad you asked me to do it because tonight's like kind of a crazy night for me, and I've been like on Twitter and all over.
Why don't you tell people why it's a crazy night for you, Easy on the Eyes?
It's actually a big night.
It's no longer a crazy night. Those are old days for me. You're right. It's a big night for me because the premiere of season 6, but the first time showing non-celebs of Rehab with Dr. Drew on VH1 is airing now on the East Coast, on the West Coast, and aired earlier at 5 o'clock. On the East Coast, and some people got to see it at 5 like I did, although I've already seen a lot of the shows. So I was live tweeting, and I was holding my mom's hand as she was watching some of it with me, and it's amazing that, you know, once these shows come on, like there's a lot of people asking for help and wanting help, and then they start asking me to help them. So I'm starting to refer a lot of people to Joe, because I can be a voice and I can show what I do, but Joe and the rest of the treatment team at KLEAN, you know, they really are there hands-on. I'm there as well, but not like they are, and Joe is in charge of intake. So it's an honor, you know.
So you ruined Joe's holiday dinner.
I know.
Yes, that's right.
Call them now.
Happy holidays to people out there, by the way. It seems everybody in LA celebrates the Jewish New Year, except me. Except the guy with the guy named Judah. No, I'm going actually right after this. But
there's like a midnight
it's very early still. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to KLEAN Radio Live. That's KLEAN with a K. The number here is 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. We're a show about addiction and recovery. And I want to ask you both a question because obviously, constantly I'm getting confronted with this, and you probably do, Andrew, too, and Jen, I know you do. I was at a meeting the other day, a 12-step meeting, and a woman asked me, when does it get better? And she had a couple of years sober, and I felt, you know, and I got it. I got what she was saying, and she was like, when does it get better?
Yeah, what does she mean, life in general?
Life in general. When does the family all come? You know, it's not always easy.
Well, I think that people have to accept that sometimes it doesn't get better. Sometimes it gets worse, and that isn't necessarily what people are looking for. I mean, you don't get sober with an expectation that your life is going to become absolutely amazing necessarily. That would be false hope.
Well, I think a lot of people want that. I mean, if anyone told me that this
the promises of the 12 steps.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone told me,
process.
Yeah, and in the beginning, you know, I was like, I don't even know how to live, and they're like, it's gonna get better, kid, just stick around. Then they just say, just stick around, and it got so much worse. And just now, it's getting better, and then it gets worse, and then it gets better, and then it gets worse. I mean,
I mean, the question to me is not whether it gets better or not. The question is, do you have the skills to appropriately handle what life throws at you. And if you're sober or taking opiates or just, out of it all the time, then it's not getting better. It's getting worse and worse and worse without you feeling or dealing with anything. That classic, drawer full of mail that everybody that's
that
using
you never open,
ignores, right?
Right.
Or like an entire trunk full of mail I've seen even.
And it's also what you just said. What is your definition of better?
Yeah, I think some people have unrealistic expectations of what better is. Now, sometimes you can have miraculous things happen when you get sober, and you can become very clear, and a lot of things come to you. But certainly nothing will come to you if you keep using and abusing drugs and being unhealthy. You're lucky if something terrible doesn't happen to you. Worse than what happens to you if you get sober. So, but a lot of people talk about you get sober and then you actually get to, and somebody dies or something like that, which is a horrible event. But at least you get to feel and cope with it, with a full set of feelings, and you can be there for other people around you instead of sort of being the center and focus of another problem for everyone else.
Yeah, you're kind of just prolonging the feeling if you're just.
Well, that's, classic opiate addicts. People are taking like oxycodone or hydrocodone or heroin. They're basically, their big mission in life is not to feel anything real, to do everything they can not to feel anything. And that's not sustainable. At some point you reach a level of tolerance where then you're just sick because you have to keep getting just enough drugs just not to get ill. And when I was in Scotland, we see a lot of that. They have people what they call parked on methadone. So a high-level case that we see, say, at KLEAN coming in on methadone would probably be about 15 to 12 milligrams of methadone a day. And there's people, like a vast majority of methadone addicts that I was looking at these clinics in Scotland, in particular, are around the 150 milligram range.
Wow.
So, they've been on it for 20 years. And it's just, it's tough to see. And, it's third, fourth generation of addicts that are just being held in limbo by drug replacement therapy without any offering to actually get sober and abstinent.
That is a huge vat of water, Jen, you're about to drink. This Fiji.
I'm so thirsty.
It's a good thing it's not a 2-hour-long show.
Yeah, I know. I'm like watching her drink that and the coffee.
I can drink all of it in 10 minutes.
You have to catheterize her for
right. We'll see you run to the bathroom during the show, too. But I want to talk about something important, okay, and this has to do with Jen. It's, obviously the show is amazing, the show Rehab, and it's really cool because this year they're focusing on non-celebrities. And you're getting tons of tweets from people saying, I need help. And there are so many people out there right now that watch Rehab, that watch Intervention, that watch all these shows, that are listening to us right now. And the hardest thing is, Andrew, and I could say this with all honesty, you would say to them, come to Rehab tomorrow if you could. Right. If you could take everybody into treatment, you would, but that's just not the reality sometimes. And so many people out there are struggling. And what do you obviously I know you're referring people and all that different.
I what do I do?
Yeah, how do you handle it? It's hard.
I wish that, I will be honest, I was never told or taught how to do this. No one gave me any supplies or tools to, VH1 or anyone didn't say like, oh, here, send them here. So I'm kind of, as the years have gone by, I'm kind of figuring it out. And like, I know one of the things coming here with to KLEAN and stuff, I used to always talk to you, Judah, about, and you, Andrew, like, I don't know what to do because I get so many people. And especially in the next 3 months, while the show is airing, I'm going to get a lot of emails or like, please help me, please save me. Or because I relate and I was there and I'm on the show. And I'm learning to cope by saying, you can go to 12-step meetings, or a lot of parents and loved ones too, like the Al-Anons and stuff, or family groups. And then I'm like, Joe will help you. Ask him, he'll lead you. Well, because that's one of the things I love about KLEAN too, is that like you guys get calls, and I know because I've given them to you guys, and Joe and other people have gone like, well, you can go to in Texas, you can go to this place or that place if they can't come out here. And I what I love that you guys are doing right now, and I need to tweet about this and Facebook about this, is that this is the only treatment center that I know that for the next year is giving 1 bed a month away, and it's not like a commercial that I'm trying to do right now.
Right.
But there's so many people right there right now that don't have the money, don't have the insurance, don't have the tools, and don't have the car or change to get on a bus to go to a meeting.
By the way, if you just tuned in, you are listening to KLEAN Radio. That's KLEAN with a K. Give us a call at 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. That's actually a really, though, interesting thing that's going to be raised is, and this goes to Andrew, is you have all these shows out there, intervention, rehab, that are putting on shows out there for people to get help, right? Obviously, so
yeah, I think that's part of it. Conversations I've had with Dr. Drew in the past have been that, he started the show actually to bring awareness to drug addiction. And he really wasn't in that. That wasn't his primary field to begin with. He was more, sex and love kind of issues.
The love doctor.
Yeah, right. So, where the show's gone from there, it's hard to say. I mean, it's all over the place. But I'm excited to see this latest season. It seems like they're going kind of back to the roots of what they originally wanted to do.
It is, and what I see, what I experienced, and what I see how it's been edited, it's what we see every day. And I see everyone that you'll see tonight on the show is every person we have in our treatment centers, and they're everyday people. Right. And, one of the things that I love and that us three are very aware of is that what an addict or an alcoholic looks like today and how it's it strikes the average American hero, like the high school hero or their parents and their moms and their dads and their children and it's very raw. It's very real.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the criticisms I sort of had of celebrity rehab is that it sort of made it something more than it was. It was like, oh, you're a celebrity and you're an addict, and then it was all this stuff about them being a celebrity. At least, like, now we might hopefully get a real look at what, most people go through with going to treatment. And, I think Intervention probably as a show does a pretty good job of that, but they don't show the treatment process.
And that was what I was actually going to ask. Do these shows have almost like a civic duty to you're tempting people with the olive branch of getting help, and then you're saying to them, go figure, to the 1.5 million people that tuned in, what do they do?
What do you mean?
The 1.5 million people that are turning into rehab or intervention, they're going to watch this show going, oh my God, I relate. I need to get help. Do those shows then in turn say,
they all have like sort of splash pages on their websites of referral groups, and I think that to some extent that they're trying to do that, but the reality is that most people are going to have to fend for themselves and do their own homework and legwork and find out what type of treatment to get, what type of treatment they get. And no rehab is the same. I mean, I've been to quite a few rehabs in my career, and
both of us.
They all have different types of programming and different kinds of people. And for people that have never really understood or it's not like it's not like an appendectomy. You get an appendectomy where you're going to go closest hospital because you got to get that thing out.
Yeah.
But rehab's a little different, and it's not every rehab is for the same person. That's one of the reasons, like Jen was mentioning, people will call KLEAN, and like we might not necessarily take them because we know that
not
they'd
a
be
good
better
fit.
off at another rehab, a different rehab than ours. Mm-hmm. We're just opening the program in Washington that should open in about 6 weeks.
By the way,
I want to go there.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
It is. It's actually, and the coolest thing is, listen, this isn't if to people out there that are listening, this isn't an infomercial.
No.
Andrew happens to run KLEAN. I'm at KLEAN. The reason Andrew and I decided to do the show was because we realized people out there aren't getting the help they needed. And the reason we obviously talk about KLEAN a lot is because we believe in KLEAN.
Yeah, I came in to KLEAN because of that same that reason. I mean, I met with you guys for months and months before. I came just because of you, and I did. Thank God. But I really believe in the treatment process there. I believe in what they do to people on the outside that don't even come into to treatment at KLEAN. So I'm like kind of blown away by that.
Yeah, there's a whole continuum of care. So, it's not always about coming into rehab. A lot of people think, I have a drug or alcohol problem and I have to go to inpatient rehab. And the reality is there's all sorts of levels of care below that and above that. Mm-hmm. So some people actually need to go into hospital and they need to go into medical detox.
Some people just need therapy.
Some people just need therapy or go to an outpatient program.
Or dual there's a whole, And basically what we're saying is if you're out there, you're going through, it's okay to call around.
Yeah.
You know, but get help. Don't just call. If you just tuned in, you're listening to KLEAN Radio Live. That's KLEAN with a K. The number here is 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980.